Hey, ladies. Hey, welcome back to Rooted in Your Confidence, the podcast where we talk about what it really looks like to stand in your truth, especially when you've spent years holding things in. And today's conversation is a powerful one. Today, my guest is Chanley Sotoyo, the creator of Rage on the Page. She's a lifetime journaler who has filled more than 75 journals over the last 35 years. But her work today didn't start with journaling circles or workshops. Chanley spent years as a government trial attorney, operating high pressure environments where strength and composure were expected every day. But behind the scenes, her body was carrying something. After more than a decade of chronic pain and emotional suppression, Chanley began writing honestly about what she had been holding inside: anger, grief, truth. And something unexpected happened. As those truths came out on her page, her relationship with her body, her voice, and her sense of self began to change. Today, Chanley helps women release emotional and physical pain through guided journaling, experiences where they can finally tell the truth on the page and reconnect to themselves. And let me tell you something. If you've ever worked in a male dominated environment, if you've ever had to swallow your words, manage your emotions, and hold on to anger just to survive, then today's conversation is going to speak directly to you. Chanley, welcome to Rooted in Your Confidence. I am so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Samantha. It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor for me to have you here because I know you're doing big things, and I just needed to share what you're doing with my audience. So I've said a lot about you. Is there anything that I didn't say that you want to share?
Okay. I am really excited to talk to you about my story and hope that your audience can resonate and really feel into my story.
Well, let me tell you, they will, because you understand them. Before you were doing Rage on the Page, you worked in high stake environments. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I was a government trial attorney, and I ended up in that position largely to please my parents. I had a pretty traditional Taiwanese upbringing, and education, performance, what you could produce was more important than finding your joy or passion or what you're truly passionate about in your life. And I remember as a child wanting to be an artist, wanting to be creative, and that was very much just shut down as that's not practical. That's not going to guarantee a good life. And so um, I was in a litigation position, which even though it was I think it was 50-50, like male and female attorneys in the office. It was very much a male energy because you need to be adversarial, you need to be aggressive. Even though the one loss record was not supposed to be relevant to our performance, it was very much something that we all thought about and kept in the back of our minds. I had to swallow so many words, and I felt like I had to put on a mask and be very hard and just to survive day to day.
I get it completely. So many women feel that way, especially, you know, in environments that you're speaking of, where it's that masculine energy, where we're showing up and we have to prove ourselves over and over, or people are doubting us, or we have these performances we're expected to do because in being in these environments, it's kind of demanding on our mental, emotional, and not allowing us just to breathe. That's one thing I know. We don't breathe as much. We don't laugh as much because we're falling into a routine and the expectations of other people.
Exactly. I mean, I think I literally would hold my breath throughout the day. It was a very, I mean, you would think being a lawyer is pretty sedentary, but we had physical parts of our job as well, like wheeling heavy files into court and sitting and thinking and focusing and making arguments, taking notes, going through as many as maybe like 50 cases in a day on some days, or being in a like a merits hearing, like a bench trial basically. Um, and very fast paced environment, very much the type of environment where you're supposed to just show up, do your work, and then kind of like forget it and reset for the next day. But the thing is, I never really did that because in my people pleasing and like sensitive introvert personality, I very much would hold on to and think, did I do the right thing in that case? Go to a colleague, go to a supervisor and ask, did I do the right thing? So a lot of second guessing, a lot of like just perfectionism and overthinking already in the way I was raised, in the way that I learned to, I guess, function in the world. And I found myself just like going to the bathroom felt like a waste of time. Like that was how pressured I felt on the job. I felt like every moment I needed to be efficient. I'm like, let me send like 5 print jobs at once. And then we did not have paralegals in the government. So we did all of our own typing, copying and stapling, sometimes like stuffing envelopes. And I was on a motions team at one point where that's where I really developed my chronic pain, was because I was churning out like 10 briefs in a day to respond and
Wow.
making arguments.
That
Yeah,
that was a lot.
it was a lot. And I felt like all constantly this just scarcity and being under resourced, not supported by management. It was a pretty toxic work environment. And I put all this pressure on myself to be really efficient and to perform at a high level. Even if I had to stay late at work, even though I wasn't getting paid extra, I would do so. And that's when the pain started. I ignored it for months. It was like neck, shoulder, arm pain, weakness, numbness, tingling. And as I felt it taking over my body, there was just a really strong sense of dread and malaise. But I was so disconnected. My mind and my body were so disconnected. And I had this heart, like this overfunctioning mask that had to put on every day to go to work, that I kept going until my body finally said no, shut it down.
I get it. We move as if we're programmed. We move in routine of what people's expectations, especially the patriarchal system, the conditioning from family and generational expectations, and we do it. And heard you say that, this was expected from your parents for you to go this route. And then I know you walked in confident because you went to school, you learned it. At what point was that confidence disrupted where you felt you wanted to people please and show up more for them for yourself, where now you're doing the extra lifting?
Yeah, I mean, law school is very much an intellectual thing. They don't actually prepare you for the practical parts of how to practice law, how to how to, know your place in a practice, how to care for yourself, really. It's such a, mentally demanding profession. So I came out of law school really only knowing how to legal analysis, legal research, and writing. I was really good at that. They say the first 5 years of practicing law is like the first year of law school. So it kind of takes that long to really learn the ropes and to get used to it. So I was in that phase, that sort of learning phase. But then I didn't know all these unspoken rules of like how to deal with a supervisor who wasn't supportive. I mean, I even got screwed out of a promotion that I was entitled to, that I deserved. The supervisor, all he had to do was fill out a form and send it in, and he failed to do so. Time passed. I didn't know yet. I was so young and naive.
Like many of us are.
Yeah. In my late 20s, I didn't have that confidence. I was not rooted in my confidence at all. I already had a second guessing kind of personality, and I was very hard on myself all the time. Add to that, not getting mentored in the way that I needed to. That, yeah, I finally approached my manager months later, being like, hey, what happened to that promotion? And it was too late to put in for it because it was government and there's time deadlines. So then and I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure he kind of just made up a story about how he talked to the judges and they said I wasn't ready. And he kind of made up this thing about how I wasn't ready. And when I went to a colleague about it and told her, she was like, oh, I'm sorry, you got screwed. Like it's his word against yours. It's within the manager's discretion. These kinds of promotions. It really should have been easy. So I never really forgot that. And I always just felt like I'm just a guileless new like attorney, mold me, teach me. I'm very teachable and coachable. I know that, but just was not the right environment. And I learned it the hard way.
And when we look back over our lives, I know for me, when I look back and I look how far I've come, and you've come so far, at what moment now do you think that all the things that you know would have been helpful back then?
I mean, definitely now that I'm in my 40s is pretty awesome to be
As
in your
young as
40s.
you are, as young as you are.
I think definitely, and I also became a mom after I left that job. So I left that job. I retired. I made the difficult decision to retire at the age of 32. Very much still, inflamed and in pain in my health because I hadn't been able to make it work. Like I had taken time off to try to get better, go through all the physical treatments for my pain, went back to work part time, but was never able to get back to a full caseload. So left that and went on a whole health journey to heal myself through nutrition and just being in a space where I didn't have to be in this like soul crushing job. And over time, I think through having to advocate for myself with doctors through a lot of health things, not just pregnancy and childbirth and postpartum and everything, but also, I mean, I had like unexpected abdominal surgery for things. And then with the chronic pain going to the clinic and everything, I had to really learn how to advocate for myself. And my journal helped me a lot. I mean, I had journaled all my life, but it really helped me to regulate my thoughts, get to the root of like what's really bothering me and giving myself a voice where I didn't have a voice.
I love that journaling because it journaling helped heal you and it allowed you to step fully into what you're doing now and that chronic pain that you were having because of the environment, not speaking up, not using your voice. When did you realize that it was the journaling that was helping heal you?
Yeah, so there was a specific day I can remember in June 2019 when I had chronic pain for a decade at that point. And I had just learned how to live really carefully. I knew my limitations and I just would avoid activities that I knew would flare me up, but was not the mom that I couldn't be the mom I wanted to be, couldn't be the wife I wanted to be. Like just was trying to survive day to day. And I had this huge grief of having lost my identity as a lawyer. I thought I could never live. I guess the word normal is kind of how I thought back then. I was like, well, not normal. I can't like my peers in their 30s, they're having kids, they're out, they're active, they're traveling, they have jobs. I mean, granted, like we lost half our household income too, right? When I left my job. So I was carrying all of that of like this unworthiness piled on top of the deep shame based, upbringing that I already have piled on top of that. And so I had been through a decade of chronic pain and all the physical treatments. My MRIs were like largely normal. Like it didn't explain the kinds of pain I was having. I had just a typical like if anyone gets like a MRI of their spine, you'll see arthritis, like thick bulging discs maybe. Like you'll see things like but it didn't explain like the amount of depression and debilitation that I experienced on a day-to-day level that it would affect my ADLs and my ability to thrive, I guess. And so yeah, I'm having dinner with this friend after 10 years of like trying everything. And I was like, and this person has invisible pain, mysterious neurological neuropathy and things that doctors can't figure him out. And so we definitely identified with each other because I always heard like I've never seen this before. I heard that a lot. Yeah, like I don't know what's going on. Doctors couldn't figure me out either. And I was like, I think it might be an emotional root. My pain might be emotional. And he immediately said, you need to read Dr. Sarno's work, which is like the mind body prescription, the divided mind. So he's a doctor who has a whole body of work, a former orthopedic surgeon who was just seeing so many patients so debilitated by pain that had been ruled out biologically. And when I started reading his work, I just saw myself on every page. I'm a perfectionist, I'm a goodist, people pleaser, conflict avoidant. There's a pain personality. And so this is what I do. Like I just I deep dive I have very strong like intellection strength. So I just read everything and then I decided I'm going to do this. And that's when I started rage journaling, because that is the one of the protocol is make lists of everything you're angry about. And whether or not you are, someone who doesn't think they have anger or rage, like we all have things we're bothered by. And so, and then we all have resentments that we, kind of acquire over time, accumulate and hold on to. And sometimes our subconscious does such a good job of repressing, we don't know it's there. But because I had already journaled all my life, I'm like, I know I have things to reckon with. I know, like I'd been in therapy as well. I knew there was a lot. So I decided to dedicate time on top of my normal journaling to do rage journaling intentionally. I got a separate journal that I named my rage journal. I wrote down the principles of the things of the protocol from the doctor as a reminder. And then remember I set aside like 1 or 2 hours a day to do this intentionally. I wrote about all the pain, all the trauma, the grief, and the loss. And trauma exists outside of time, right? So I let myself go there, back to my childhood, back to parents, even grandparents, like things that I hadn't thought about in decades. I thought, I felt held and safe by my journal and by this doctor's work, knowing like I could go there, because the big aha moment was when I learned it's my subconscious mind producing pain symptoms in my body, because your subconscious mind would rather produce pain than allow you to face the rage that you've repressed inside. It thinks that that rage is scarier than the physical pain. So the
Oh,
physical
yeah.
pain is actually a distraction. And so when I understood that and decided I'm going to assume that that is true, and then just follow the protocol, do the journaling every day. After about 4 weeks, after actually just like the second day, I already felt better. But after 4 weeks of doing that, it was like it broke the spell of the pain. And I was able to put weight on my wrist during yoga and not feel pain afterwards. I didn't think I could lift a gallon of milk without hurting myself before that, or open a jar before that. I was able to take the baby out by myself, take the stroller out of the trunk, pop it open, lift her. She was like 9 months then. Lift her out of the car seat with her in the car seat, which is really heavy, put it on the stroller, and then just go. And I remember feeling amazed. Just this method really helps you get over the fear of the pain and talk to your subconscious, train your brain, and say,
Your mind is an amazing thing. The mind
yeah,
is an amazing thing. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you from fear. It wants to protect you at all times. So, what I'm hearing from you is that your brain was protecting you from all of the hurt and pain and trauma that you faced over the years. And through this journaling, it allowed you to release it.
yeah, exactly. It brought to surface all the things that my subconscious thought that I couldn't handle, right? So it's like the journey that I went on was through the rage journaling was, you tell your subconscious, like, the jig is up. I know what you're doing, but I'm going to march down to the basement and open every box of
Come
pain,
through, come through. Love
pain,
that.
grief, like no matter what it's labeled, I'm coming down there and I'm going to deal with this.
Yes.
And I've got the little girl now. I can protect her now, because now I'm grown. And so I literally would go through meditations where I pictured myself taking my little girl self by the hand and, like, or even standing in front of her to protect her from the conflict, from the pain that I had felt.
Isn't that amazing? When we can hold ourselves, when we can hold our own selves, when we start to trust that that person that we had lost for so long is now protected, now
Yeah.
shielded, yielded, and just standing up for her. I like you, I remember those things, being able to protect that person or giving them what they didn't have. I'm not sure. For me, it was me giving her the words, giving her what she needed at that moment. Were you
Exactly.
able to give your younger self the words that she needed?
Yes, yes, for sure. I was able to give her unconditional love. I was able to replay conversations and write what I wish I could have said had I been supported. And then to be able to almost like reparent myself and to give myself that support that I didn't have was so deeply healing. And I think that's why, I mean, even I still have like pain here and there, but I might not be 100% pain free even today, but I am free from pain.
I love that for you. I love that you're not completely pain free, but not that pain that was keeping you from moving forward and enjoying life. That is an amazing thing that you've created through your rage journaling, being able to be healed. For me, I work with women, helping them regain their confidence.
Yeah.
You help them release that pain that causes them to lose their confidence. What you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
So you said we're taking an hour or two out to write, to journal. Let me back people up for a minute because I didn't tell people how we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, journals. When we were at a mastermind retreat together
Mhm.
and we met there.
Yeah.
I don't think we connected, but you created a group for women to feel safe, for women to be able to express themselves and even journal during the retreat. So you take women and you hand them the pen in the journal. I was looking for the journal because I had it out the other day,
Yeah.
and I have all the stickers of saying all the things that you allow women to say through stickers that make them stand up for themselves. You're doing such amazing work and allowing yourself to allow women to feel it.
Mhm.
If it's that circle wheel of emotions and feelings that we come up with, if it's anger, if it's pain, if it's excitement, whatever it is, you allow them through journaling so that they can be healed. And that's even what you did, what things were coming up for businesses, for women in business, allowing us to just have the freedom to express what we were feeling at the moment. I love what you're doing. It's so important to heal that part of you so that you can regain confidence, and you're doing it outright and then being able to be so vulnerable and putting it out into the world. That is a win. So a lot of women are taught to not express and just start standing in it. Now you allow them to write about it. How do women feel when they start working with you and they're able to start writing?
They feel so free. I mean, they experiencing kind of like you, like through a workshop first. And then something cracks open because my approach is very much creating a safe container, a safe space for them and giving them the permission to write the words that they've swallowed all their lives, to rage at loss, rage at grief, even rage at their body. And then, but I always close with empowerment because you claim it back. What's the one piece of your truth that you want to claim back? And then you write that down. And then I mean, that retreat was just such a transformational and powerful time for me as well. And I was not expecting to stumble upon like my secret sauce when I wasn't looking for it. I love looking at the photos of like, well, nothing makes me happier than seeing women like with their heads bowed, putting pen to paper on the prompts that I've prepared. I love asking these profound questions of women, and they say, it's mind blowing. Your prompts are so piercing. I've never thought of those things. Realizing the power of being led to journal, and even people who had journaled before, they'll say like, I've never journaled like this before, and then the witnessing that happens after. So the sharing, it's always I open it up always after the journaling time, for whoever wants to share, like even just a word or a line or anything that they uncovered without coaching, advice, like fixing or advice. That turned out to be like a 10x effect upon the journaling itself. So you're already like releasing and making discoveries I didn't know that was in me. Like I hear that a lot. It's like I didn't know what was going to come out when I wrote, and they are surprised or amazed or just, oh yeah, I need to deal with this. This is more effective than therapy. Like this is working faster than even like mindset coaching because it comes from yourself. You already have everything you need in yourself, right? To heal, to give yourself that confidence, which starts first by giving yourself the love, the empathy, the validation, and the things that maybe you didn't get as a child, but you can give that to yourself first.
Yeah.
And so when women feel seen and heard during the witnessing, they reflect. I see a lot of mirroring back to each other. That transformation is really profound, and it can happen in a pretty short time. Women say that, like, I have a 6-week program, and they say it's the nervous system exhale I didn't know I needed.
Yeah.
And they've gone on to write books, they've gone on to heal relationships in their journaling. They make decisions more quickly in their businesses now. They show up more confident as leaders and CEOs of their business. And so it's amazing.
When you were able to stand in your truth and allow yourself to see you and to see how you're showing up, it shifts the conversation, it shifts the mindset, it shifts your walk so that you can heal. I know for women, we repress so much. We hold it in because we don't want to be seen as incapable of or not be judged by other women, especially families. We want to see that. But when you see women journaling and being able to connect the way that these women connect when you're with them, what are the first things that they say out loud to themselves, to you?
They say that was powerful. I mean, the very first workshop I ever did, they cry. I mean, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that's really how I felt about X." Right? Like they feel held. They feel like they have the courage of the collective around them. Um, they're inspired too to make changes, to take action. But the biggest thing is, I think, the reestablishing that the connection between mind and body, and also they feel like they're reclaiming their voice in real time. That is I'm trying to think of like actual words they've said after.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I'm thinking like, because so many people tell you to journal about gratitude, and we're all grateful every day. I just came back from a goddess retreat, and during that time, being able to just stand in time and not worry about what's happening and just be able to be there. And it allowed that healed person that I am to surface more. That in itself is deep work. And what you're doing with women is even deeper work. Allows them to tell their truth on paper, allows them to stand up differently, have a different belief in themselves. So that's more than a win because you're allowing them to just be truthful where the world doesn't allow us to be truthful. It doesn't allow us to stand rooted in our own self where we believe and trust ourselves. So having those small conversations leads to bigger conversations that you're allowing them to have with honesty is in the words that actually happened so that we can know what did not work or what is working for us. So that rage that you allow them to put on the page is like freedom. It's a freedom in what you're doing for these women.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're socialized, right, from birth to be perpetually pleasant.
Yes.
I read that in that Time magazine article that said it's literally titled "Self-Silencing is Making Women Sick," and like 80% of autoimmune disease cases is women, and we have a higher likelihood of all the chronic illnesses, and cancer and premature death, like all those things, all from the simple. And it's so simple, like because we just haven't been able to tell the truth. And so it's exactly like you said on your retreat. First, it's okay. Let's get the rage out. Let's release, and you're doing it safely because the safest way to tell the truth is to write it down. You don't have to edit yourself while you're talking. You don't have to worry about other people's feelings. And even in therapy, you kind of edit yourself, right? You don't have to, and then you don't have to just sit there and think because we endlessly loop when we think. Writing is so powerful because it recruits multiple regions of the brain. It recruits like its language processing, its cognitive. So all those things. I mean, I don't know all the science behind it. I just know like it's such a quick way to get into your flow state. It's a window to the subconscious. And so is it any wonder that women first sometimes usually they're surprised by what they wrote or they feel so relieved. I mean, the pen literally journaling is a somatic act if you do it in this way because it's helping to move the emotions out through the pen onto the page and then you see it and it's this record and you can burn it afterward or shred it if it makes you feel better, but I personally I've kept all my journals. I still have my rage journal because when I look back and read it I'm like shocked at the stuff I wrote. I can't even remember some of it, and from someone who has a memory like an elephant and just remembers everything. I was like, wow, the catharsis was so complete. And so you can see it afterward as, a monument to what you released and what you've survived and and then you can rise from that place. So the second thing that often comes up in my journaling workshops is also then gratitude because you can't just force gratitude without having reckoned with and released the rage and resentment that's there. And then after you release it, then I feel like true gratitude can rise in its place.
I know once we weed through everything and make a space, when we make space, that's when joy comes. That's when we're able to open our hearts and our minds to what we're asking for, what we're praying for, what we dream of. So piling it on to resentment, hatred, what other emotions could you come up with? Anger, fear, because fear keeps you in that cycle also of always people pleasing, trying to get rid of that. So, like you said, in order to receive and to have gratitude, you got to release all of the things. And I love that you're able to help the women to release that. If a woman was doing it today, wanting to rage journal, how would you tell her to start after years of holding it all in?
Definitely start by inventorying. It's a list and it could just be one or two words to start. The biggest thing is just to be honest because we all know deep down what is really bothering us. We just don't, you know, we don't want to face it or deal with it because we think we'll feel worse. If someone was going to just start today, I would say, well, you can join my circle and you can do it supported, but it's definitely possible to do on your own as well, like I did. I would say get a fresh journal or pad of paper. And I would not wait for perfect conditions because that's the other thing that comes up. People have this idea that journaling needs to be like, I have a cup of tea and it's quiet and nothing's going on around me. You can do it anytime. You can do it in your car, you can do it in the bathroom while the kids are outside. You can, just a few minutes. The big thing is trusting. I think trust that the page can hold it. Trust that the page is your ground and it's sacred ground. Once you've written down your truth and you've given yourself permission to be honest, you can create that space for yourself anytime on the
Ooh,
page.
I can create on my page
Yes,
my truth. We're
exactly.
doing a lot of truth in this, but between me and you, we got a lot of truth going on. I love this. I mean, we've been talking for a while, so I think we could keep going and going. I could tell, but I'm going to get to my signature question. Tell me what it means to you to be rooted in your confidence.
To me, to be rooted in your confidence means that you are using your full authentic voice and that you know that your journal is your best friend that you can return to anytime that you start not to feel confident and that can be your anchor that you can create for yourself. You can create for yourself the anchor, the foundation, root into your own confidence.
Shanley, thank you so much. And audience, let me tell you, what she's telling you is you can release it. You could just show up Write it down and allow yourself to start healing. Plus more. She said, because she got a group. I just want you to know she got a group. So if you join it, I'm not even going to tell it. Chanley, tell them about how they can reach you and tell them about your group. Tell them all the things.
All the things. Sure.
Yes,
So I hang out on LinkedIn, but I also have a website, which will be in the show notes, I assume. It's
it
Rage.
will be.
Yes, easy to remember as well. Rage on the dot page talks all about the 6 week journaling circle that I have. And I also would love to talk to you as well and hear your story and witness you and explore what you would like to heal through journaling, what you would like, what you know deep down like needs to be released and witnessed. So there will be a link to book a call with me, but the big things that women walk away from after they experience my program is a deep nervous system exhale, reestablishing connection between mind and body, reclaiming your voice, moving from self silencing to sovereignty, and becoming friends for life with the community of fellow truth tellers that walk the same path with you.
That is amazing.
Yes, I would love to journal.
Yes. Ladies, you're talked over, you're interrupted, you don't feel supported and heard. Chanley is giving you a place to release it on paper and support it. So it's so important for us to have these resources that'll allow us to fully show up so that we can be rooted in our confidence. Chanley, I want to thank you again for this conversation. Thank you immensely for allowing women to know that they can use their voice. I think a lot of women listening today are going to recognize themselves in what you said. Sometimes healing doesn't fix everything. Sometimes it starts with telling the truth. And if today's conversation spoke to you, please make sure you share this episode with another woman who wants and needs to hear it. And of course, if you want to continue this conversation with confidence, truth, listening to how to stand in your voice, even in difficult environments, be sure to grab a copy of my book, Your Truth Changes Everything. Until next time, stay rooted in your confidence.